On today's show, Tough Mudder X preview with Morgan Mckay. And I found a racing podcast that only talks about one race. Crazy, right? This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast. On today's show, Morgan Mckay and I talk about Tough Mudder X, the 1 mile made-for-TV race that will be held in Minnesota this weekend. I say made for TV because CBS and Team HQ came up with the idea together because it'll be more camera friendly than World's Toughest or the toughest mudder races, having all the racers on a 1 mile track instead of on a 5 mile loop. Made for TV isn't a bad thing. Breaking Bad was made for TV. Nathan For You was made for TV. Knight Rider was made for TV. I have high hopes for the entertainment value of Tough Mudder X. Remember, the competition is this weekend, but the TV dates are Sunday, August 27th, and Sunday, September 3rd for the finals of Tough Mudder X. You can't set your TiVo until it gets like 2 weeks out from the event date, but I'll remind you again as it gets closer. Speaking of TiVo, July 22nd is the first Toughest Mudder episode on CBS. You should pause this podcast right now and go set your DVR. I'll wait for you. Good. That's Toughest Mudder LA, July 22nd on CBS. If you're planning your Toughest Mudder schedule for 2018, Tough Mudder has released the first date for next year. Hang on. Before we talk about that, let's talk about goal setting. For 2 or 3 years, every time I ran a regular Tough Mudder, I'd tell myself, not this year, but next year, I'm going to run World's Toughest. I told myself that over and over. Finally, I just signed up in March for the race, which was in November, and I told myself, yeah, I'll be ready by then. I wasn't, but I didn't die. Tim Ferriss has a great line in one of his books. Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you. Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you. Just sign up. You've still got about 5 months to train. You've got this. You'll be ready by then. And if you're not, so what? You won't die. You probably won't die. Sign up today. Shoot me an email after you do it at willhicks@gmail.com. So, next year's Toughest Mudder schedule. This has been out for a bit, but we haven't talked about it yet. Team HQ has only released the date and location for one 2018 Toughest Mudder so far. It's Europe's Toughest Mudder. It's at the same location, Belvoir Castle in the UK, that it was last year. And it's on the same weekend as it was last year, May 12th. That is Mother's Day weekend, which is tough for me to pull off. I went to Whistler this year on Father's Day weekend, but come on, Team HQ, help a dad out. This past weekend in Ireland, Sonia Goodwin got her 50X headband. Here's some audio from the event with Gil Colleran on the mic. Gil is the start line guy for Tough Mudder in the UK and Europe.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a massive round of applause right now. Sonia. Here, come on, darling. Quick picture Miranda, get in this picture. Here we go. Here comes that 50. Put it on her head right now. Let's get that 50 on right here. At Ireland, making history, ladies and gentlemen. The first ever female 50 plus in Europe with a 50 plus headband right here. Now I'm going to step out. Take your moment. Guard of honor for you, Sonja. Let's go, baby. 5-0. There it is. And just to confirm, ladies and gentlemen, Nate Dog, that is 50 events right there. 5-0 events, baby. Not the laps, the events.
It's funny he said there at the end, it's 50 events, not 50 laps. Every once in a while that pops up in the WTM community group. Is it laps or is it events? It's events. That's the official line from Team HQ. You also heard him mention that she's the first woman in Europe to get 50 events. She's also only the second woman worldwide to get it. I talked with Jim Campbell about the 50X Club. Jim's the only person to have completed 100 events, and no one else is even close. He's up around 130 now. Jim keeps a pretty good handle on the other people with a lot of events. According to Jim, there's only 16 people worldwide who have 50 or more, with 2 of them being women. You probably know some of them. There's Jim Campbell, of course, Darth Vader. We're going to talk to Darth in a future episode. That's his actual legal name. It's a whole story, but it's his story to tell. Joe Perry, not from Aerosmith Joe Perry, from painting his head before each race, Joe Perry, and 13 other people. Congratulations, Sonia Goodwin, on completing 50 events. That's at least 500 Tough Mudder miles. Before we talk to Morgan Mckay, let's read a listener email. You can email me at willhicks@gmail.com or shoot me a tweet at @thewillhicks. This is from Brian Angstadt from Saskatchewan, Canada. Dear Will, I'm writing you this as I sit down for a pint of Guinness in Dublin. Finished Tough Mudder Ireland this morning to get my 10X headband. The course in Ireland was different than the courses in Canada that I'm used to. The sun was out for the whole morning. I hear last year it rained buckets. I gave the course the nickname Fly Swatter. The course itself was pretty easy, if I'm being honest. The terrain is tough, and that the ground is really uneven. Had to be careful not to roll an ankle. One thing I found interesting is that Tough Mudder only had Everest, not 2.0. Apparently, it's against safety regulations in the UK. All in all, it was a great course with amazing scenery and great people on the course. Brian, thank you for that note from Ireland. Congratulations on your 10X headband. Brian and I met at Canada's Toughest Mudder a few weeks ago, or a month ago now, I guess. He has a custom Tough Mudder jersey that he's collecting signatures on from events that he's run. I got to give my autograph to his jersey, and it was an honor. Some people say you shouldn't just put your signature out there because then people can copy it if they ever get your checkbook. Joke's on them, though, because I lost my checkbook years ago. Good luck, criminals. You can email me at willhicks@gmail.com or on Twitter at @thewillhicks. You can also leave us a review on iTunes. I need 27 more reviews to catch Matt B. Davis and the ORM podcast. Pick me up here, fellas. Speaking of Matt B. Davis, he's launching his new podcast about Atlanta this week. He and I were talking about all the OCR podcasts, and he said how, like OCR, there are a ton of Atlanta-centric podcasts. So I was perusing them in iTunes. Did you know that Peachtree Road Race has their own podcast? They have an entire podcast just about one race. That's ridiculous. That'll get old quick. One race. What do they talk about the rest of the year? It's time to talk to Morgan Mckay. Let's go to the phones.
Hey.
Morgan Mckay.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
Good.
We're going to talk about Tough Mudder X in a minute, but first I wanted to talk World's Toughest Mudder with you.
Sweet.
Tell me about your first World's Toughest Mudder.
My first World's Toughest Mudder was in New Jersey. So it was a few years ago. And it was kind of like an epic failure in that I went with like high expectations of doing really well. And I probably got about 8 hours into the race, and then I had a lot of stomach issues. So I ended up pretty much just puking nonstop and had to pull out. So yeah, that was my first experience. So it wasn't a very great one.
What year was that?
That was 2013, I believe.
What were your expectations going in? Did you think you might be able to win the thing?
I wanted to place in the top 5. Was kind of my expectation for that. Like, I was doing pretty well. I think I was definitely in the top 10. But yeah, for some reason, like, my stomach couldn't handle the eating, like all that eating and the exercise. So it was not good. Like, I had to go to the med tent, and they wanted to give me an IV, and yeah, they wouldn't let me race anymore after that.
You did a lot better in your second year in 2014. Tell me about that.
Yeah, in 2014, it was in Las Vegas. I got 50 miles, and I was doing pretty well. But then what happened at that one was I had given away my full wetsuit. So I just had a shorty wetsuit thinking that, it's Vegas, how cold is it going to get? Well, at 2 a.m, it was freezing, and I didn't have the full suit to change into. So I got hypothermia, and I had to, basically I hid in my tent for about 5 or 6 hours. And then once I somewhat recovered enough, I wouldn't even say I was that well recovered. I went back out and did one more lap so I could get my my bib. But I think I still made it top 10 in 2014.
I have you down as 9th place with 55 miles in 2014.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I got 55. I can't remember. Yeah, it was 50 or 55.
How did you solve those food issues you had the year before?
I just tried different foods. I think what it was for me was that I had this, it was a really sugary electrolyte powder that I had in my water. And that was kind of what upset my stomach. And I was trying to eat like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and like baby potatoes and just foods that were really heavy. I think it was just sort of a lack of experience with foods. And then so, over the year, every time I trained, I researched a bunch of different nutrition things. And what worked for me is like baby food, sort of like the applesauce or Tailwind. Seems to work really, really well with my stomach if I'm doing long durations.
So baby food like in the little glass jar?
Not in the glass jar. They have ones that come in like little squeeze pouches.
Okay, sure.
But same idea. Yeah.
In 2015, you got 13th place with 50 miles. Tell me about 2015.
2015, for the most part, it was a really great race. Like I had a really good pace. I felt strong. I had trained hard. And then I think it was around, this is just a guess, but somewhere in the night, I had a really bad fall trying to get up Everest, and I sort of smashed my knee into it, and my knee was already kind of hurting. I think it was just like a bit of overuse and probably not the greatest running stride, but anyways, I think it was my left knee, and it was just in so much pain that after that, I couldn't even bend it. So I tried, like I did a whole other lap sort of running with straight legs. Like it looked really, really weird. And I was actually still able to move, but my pace dropped. And then I just got more and more tired, and I just was in a lot of pain. And then, I took a break, I think, for a few hours and sort of just realized at that point that placing wasn't really in the cards for that year. So I just went out and did a couple of laps for fun with my friend Amy. It was disappointing because I felt very strong and I felt mentally ready, and it was just sort of like a weird injury that kind of popped up during the race.
2016 was kind of your breakthrough year. You got 3rd place with 80 miles, and you were only 6 minutes behind 2nd place, Suzanne Kraus.
Yeah.
Tell me about 2016.
2016, it was my best race ever. It was sort of like everything lined up. I had trained really hard with Yancey all year long. My running was great. My strength was good. My mental game was amazing. I had like the best pit crew with me. It was sort of like the perfect race. As perfect as it could be, for a 24-hour race. Like everything went amazing and smooth. And I was 6 minutes behind 2nd place, which was really amazing. And, my only regret for that race was that I wasted way too much time on the cliff. I have a really mad fear of high heights and water. So, I probably wasted, anywhere between 3 up to 7 minutes every time I had to jump off that cliff. So I think, cumulatively, that's at least half an hour wasted just standing at the edge of the cliff. So I think I was a little disappointed with myself in that, to be only 6 minutes behind second and know that I've wasted at least half an hour hesitating was a little frustrating. But,
Sure.
That was really the only thing I would have changed. Everything else was just really smooth and really fun.
Are heights, is the issue the height or is it the impact?
I think for me, what it was that in 2014 at World's Toughest Mudder, when I got hypothermia, I kind of blamed it on the cliff in that when I was fully submerged in the water in a shorty, I felt because my head was getting wet and I couldn't warm up, that was sort of, I don't know, I think that was something that kind of like triggered something in my mind that gave me a fear of just jumping off the cliff into water, because heights had never been an issue before for me and water had never been an issue until the 2014 race. So it was really strange.
How do you end up talking yourself off the edge or psyching yourself up to make the jump?
I basically just told myself I had to. Like I said, I told myself in my mind, I trained as hard as I could to place, and the only thing standing in my way from placing was literally jumping off the cliff. I knew that, a lot of the other girls are faster runners than me, and I couldn't afford to take the penalty each time for that cliff, so I knew that I had to. So I would just try and say 1, 2, 3 and go, and it was just a struggle.
Do you stand right on the edge, or do you kind of step back like 6 or 8 feet and get a walking start toward it?
That's a really good idea. I was standing on the edge, and each time I told myself, I had read, a bunch of tips online, like just look at the horizon, don't look down. And every time I got to the edge and I looked straight down and then just kind of kept hanging around there. But I think, I watched a lot of people who would just sort of take a few steps back, just look at the horizon, and they were able to jump right away. So that's what I'm really hoping to do this year.
That's the way I do it. I stand back like 10 feet and I ask the volunteer, I'm like, am I clear? Is it clear underneath? And they're like, yeah, it's clear. And still it takes me a minute or two every time, but that if I stand at the edge, I won't do it. So I have to back way up.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a good idea. Like, I definitely think I'm going to try that for this year. Because, standing at the edge, staring right down, does not work well.
I follow you online, and you were very open last year that your goal for 2016 was to be on the podium. Up to that point, your best finish was 9th place with 55 miles. Going from where you'd been all the way up to the podium was a big step. How did you decide to set the podium as your goal?
Well, I had set that goal for myself, 4 years ago, that I always wanted to be on the podium, and I visualized myself being there. And I think that, other years it could have been possible, but there was just things that got in the way. I didn't have the right gear, or, I didn't have the right support system, or I was working around an injury. And then it was sort of like everything came together this year. Like, my training was on point. I had the best support system. Like, everything came together to make that happen. And I just, I did a lot of mental training where I just told myself that it was possible and that I could do it. And I think that was a big difference. I think other years, to be honest, I don't think I fully believed in myself. I got very intimidated by the other girls in the competition, just sizing myself up against them, thinking, they have so much more experience than me, or they're stronger, or they're faster. Whereas this year, I just really focused on myself. What are my weaknesses? How can I get better? And I think that's what made the biggest difference for me for 2016.
Can you talk more about that mental training? We all know we can go run more or do more pull-ups, but how do you train yourself mentally?
So mentally, what I did is I make myself a vision board, and what I do is I write my number one goal of the year. So what I did is I wrote in gold, podium, World's Toughest Mudder, and then what I do is I break it down into steps. So in ways like, how can I make that goal more achievable? So for me, what I did, I break it down into small steps. So for me, what I knew was that I needed to work on my running. I needed to get faster. And then I break everything down onto this board and I put it right by my bed. So it's the first thing I see in the morning when I wake up. So right away that day I'm thinking, okay, podium, world's toughest mudder. And then, when I'm at work or when I'm working out, I'm visualizing myself out on the course. And then I think of ways, like when I'm training and I get tired and I think like, oh, you know what? I don't really want to train today. I feel kind of tired, or I don't know if I feel that good. I think about all the other girls that are out there and they're training, and that I have to put in that extra if I want to win. And then same thing, like when I go to bed, that board is right there by my bed. So I think about it, before I sleep at night too. So I'm always kind of reminding myself of my goal. It just really helps me, set up my day and set up my week. Like, is this, when I think about, my plans for the weekend, is this going to help me or is this going to hurt me? And I make decisions based on that.
Is it fair to say that your life last year revolved around getting on the podium?
Yeah, definitely. For sure. Oh yeah, I had to invest a lot of time into it. For sure.
How did it feel when you crossed that finish line and you knew you were in third place and you made the podium?
Oh my God, it was just like unbelievable. It was just, I don't know, it was like the best feeling in the world. It was crazy because, you think and you dream about this huge goal and you work towards it, for 4 years. And, I had all these setbacks the year before and, a lot of heartbreak along the way. And then, when it all came together, it just felt like unreal. I don't know. It was just amazing. It was crazy.
What's at the top of your vision board for this year?
I want to win with 100 miles.
Is it written in gold?
It is. It's actually glittery gold.
So between 2015 and 2016, you made a leap of 30 miles from 50 to 80. What do you think the biggest difference was in making that leap?
The biggest difference was I had talked to my coach, Yancey, and we went over, all of my strengths and all of my weaknesses, and we really attacked the training. Like, sometimes I'm training 2 times a day, longer runs on the weekend, just getting my body used to it. Like we had, what I had done different was he had actually scheduled in like an 8-hour workout one day. And it was awful, but it just got my body really used to, the nutrition. Like I was able to test my gear. I just took everything really seriously, and it made a huge, huge difference.
Before the race, how much time have you spent training like in your wetsuit or running at night or testing your race nutrition?
A lot more than the previous years. Like, to be honest, the previous years, I'm kind of like a last minute, procrastinator type person. Like, I'll just figure it out when I get there. And like half the time I bought a lot of the stuff I needed for the race, like once I got to Vegas. But it was completely different this year. Like I knew the wetsuits I was going to wear. I knew the hoods, like the gloves, everything. I had worn it, at least 10 times before the race. I knew what my nutrition was going to be. I had tested it, every weekend on the longer training days. So I knew what I needed and how everything was going to work out.
There's a lot of strong female runners that, can make 50, 55 miles. What advice would you give them if they're looking to make the leap up to 75, 80 miles?
I think my advice to them would be if they can get to work on their grip strength. Because for me, I think how I was able to get a bit ahead as well was I was able to make the grip obstacles longer than some of the other girls could, which means I'm doing less running on penalties. So the running that I'm doing is actually counting for the course. So for them, I think if they can really attack their grip strength while maintaining really good running training, I think that's the best way to make the leap. Less penalties equals more miles out on the course.
Did you track how many miles you ran penalty-wise?
No, I have no idea.
Was it a lot?
I'm probably, yeah, near the end, like I wasn't doing so well. Like I was failing things and running penalty loops and stuff. But I'm probably one of the only really serious runners that I know that never runs with a watch or a Garmin or anything like that. I always just run like based on feel. So I actually have no idea how far I actually ran, but I know it was further than my official miles, that's for sure.
Morgan, will you be at Toughest Mudder Chicago?
Yes.
And then of course
I will be there.
And then of course we'll see you at World's Toughest Mudder.
Yes. Are you going to be at the Chicago one?
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
Nice. Awesome.
Hey, let's talk about Tough Mudder X. You are going to be in the field at the first ever Tough Mudder X on July 14th in Minnesota. This will be televised on August 27th and September 3rd on CBS. It's an invitation-only event. Tell me how your invitation came about.
Oh, my God. I'm so excited about this race. So my invitation came about because I didn't get invited. I applied, and it was kind of like, I have no idea if I'll get accepted or not, but I just gave it a try, and then I got accepted the next day. And which is kind of crazy because Saturday I actually have 3 wedding invites. So
Tough Mudder X is on a Friday, and then on Saturday you have the wedding.
Yeah, but I was able to like arrange my flight that I'm able to come back sort of on time for the one wedding I decided to go to.
Yeah, that's a lot of weddings. You have a lot of friends getting married right now, huh?
I know, all on one day. It's crazy.
I'm not sure how old you are. This is an aside. But when you're in your early 20s, there's this one year where all your friends get married. That same year, anyway.
Yeah, that is definitely this year. Like, weddings are everywhere all the time. It's crazy.
The course is 1 mile long and contains 10 obstacles and 10 functional fitness workout zones. First place man and first place woman each win $25,000. Second prize wins $2,500. Third prize wins $1,000. First, fourth, and fifth prize win free entry to World's Toughest 2017, valued at approximately $500. Morgan, what do you think about the concept of a 1 mile Tough Mudder race?
I think it's amazing and really, really exciting. I think it's super cool and such a cool change up. I love what I'm really, really excited about this race is the strength element to it. I find, just for me personally, my biggest strength in races is that I have really good grip strength and I'm really good at obstacles. And I'm always hoping for, more obstacles in races to slow down the fast girls for me. So I'm really excited about this race because it's such a good mixture of strength and obstacles in a short circuit that it's just going to be so much fun.
Do you feel that kind of plays to your strengths?
Yeah, it definitely plays to my strengths.
One of the biggest differences I think will happen between Tough Mudder X and every other Tough Mudder event is I do not think people will be helping each other over obstacles. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody's going to be helping each other during this race at all. Are you even allowed to help each other for this one? For some reason, I don't think that you can.
You know what? I haven't seen one way or the other. I can't see the winner stopping to help someone up over Everest, though,
No, definitely. Not in a short race like that. Like if you stop to help somebody, you wouldn't place.
Let's talk about the 10 obstacles and the 10 workout zones. As we talk through the course, you can tell me your strategy for getting through each one as fast as you can. The first obstacle is Berlin Walls. How do you tackle the walls?
For me, I just jump as high as I can, and as soon as I can get my fingertips over the wall, I can just pull myself over pretty quick.
Do you do a muscle up, or do you throw your ankle over?
I throw my ankle over.
I think that's the best. You kind of throw your ankle over, and then you can kind of roll your body along the top.
Yeah, and then you're saving some energy too, I think.
Each obstacle is paired with a workout zone. So right after the first obstacle, Berlin Walls, you'll have the first workout zone. The first workout zone is box jumps. What do you think about box jumps?
I haven't honestly done box jumps in a very long time, so they're going to be interesting. I've been practicing them since I've seen the map. So that'll be good. I'll just do those as quickly as possible.
The next obstacle is Kiss of Mud. What's your strategy for Kiss of Mud?
Normally what I would have done is I would have rolled, but in the rules you have to crawl. So for that, I'm just going to crawl as fast as possible under that.
Something to think about is, especially for the women, is your hair getting snagged on barbed wire.
I always braid my hair and have it in a bandana because I don't got time for that.
The next workout zone is the sled drag. How are you on the sled drag?
The sled drag for me is pretty good. I have a sled at work and a rope, so that's something that I do normally in my training anyway, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think that one should be pretty easy.
Next obstacle is balls to the wall. Tell me about balls to the wall.
So that one's a really high wall with a rope. That one, generally, I don't have any problems with. It's pretty easy, just up and over.
Usually the rope has knots in it also. You can kind of use those to help yourself. And there's little
for sure.
Kind of not really steps, but lips on the wall that you can use to help get up.
Yeah, that one generally isn't too hard to do.
The next workout zone is wall balls. How do you do on wall balls?
Yeah. I've been practicing, so now it's pretty good. I mean, when I haven't really done those in a while. I used to do them all the time in CrossFit, but I haven't really been doing a whole lot of CrossFit lately just because I've been working a lot on my running. At first I found my shoulders were getting really tired, but I've been practicing and it seems pretty easy. But then again, I think it'll be a different story during the race.
Can you describe what a wall ball exercise is?
Yeah, so what a wall ball is you have a ball for females that's going to weigh 15 pounds. So you're going to hold the ball into your chest. You're going to do a squat. And when you come up from that squat, you're going to throw the ball to a 10-foot high target, catch the ball, return back into a squat, and repeat that 15 times.
And it looks like you're actually doing the wall ball on the balls to the wall obstacle. Have you seen that?
Oh, really? That's cool.
I think that's how they did it at the Virginia run through.
Oh, okay. Cool.
The next obstacle is birth canal.
Birth canal sucks. Yeah, that one, what I try to do is I try to get as close to the edge of that obstacle as possible because it's, tarps full of water and you have to sort of squish yourself through them. So that one I try and get, as close to the edge as possible where there isn't as much of a dip. And I just try and shimmy my way through there, just stay low to the ground, get through that one as quick as possible because, it's not fun.
Yeah, go far left or go far right.
Yeah.
The next workout zone is the farmer's carry. Do you know what you're going to carry for the farmer's carry?
Yeah, it's 75 pounds a hand for females, and I think it's 100 pounds a hand for males.
So it'll be either water jugs or...
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that it's a cement block with a rope handle.
Do you try and run with that, or do you just try and get a good, strong walk?
I personally would try and run with it just because that's less time that you're going to have to hold that weight because it's really going to tax your grip. And if you look at the rest of the race, it's all grip obstacles. I want to get through that one as quick as possible. So if I can run with that weight, I will.
The fifth obstacle is skid marked. Skid marked is an inverted wall kind of leaning toward you. How do you handle skid marked?
There's two ways that I've done that one. There's one way where you just, I jump for the lip, and then once I have, I can get my hands on the edge, I can usually do a pull-up and then just hook my ankle over it. And then there's another way to do it, which I'd have to practice to see if I can still do it, is where you kind of go backwards and get your hands up, and then you sort of do a crunch type somersault move, and you kind of go backwards over it.
I've seen people do that. It's really
weird.
I've seen people do that. Your back is to the obstacle, and you jump up.
Yeah.
And you basically do a pull-up, and you flip your entire body over the wall.
Yeah. If you can do it, it actually saves a ton of energy. Like, it's a lot of core involved, but it's really, really efficient to do it like that.
And it will look awesome on TV.
That's true. So I'm definitely going to have to practice that in the next week.
The next workout zone is the sandbag burpees. Tell me about sandbag burpees.
I think that they might have changed that one. I think they sent like a updated one.
Okay.
So I think it's, I saw sandbag press and sandbag cleans.
Okay.
So maybe they changed that one to sandbag cleans. And that one, I think, honestly, is going to be one of the hardest workout stations for, like, the OCR type girls. I think CrossFit girls will crush that. But I think for, like, the smaller runner type body, that's going to be really hard because it's 100 pounds. And cleaning 100-pound sandbag 15 times it's very challenging.
The next obstacle is Funky Monkey.
Yeah, I love that one.
Funky Monkey is
awesome. The
monkey bars up and then the wheels on the way down.
Coming back down.
How do you handle Funky Monkey?
That one I just try and stay calm. Some people will try and go through that one really quickly. For me, I actually go through it slowly just so I can make sure that every time I'm gripping a bar, I'm gripping it one way with one hand and the opposite grip with the other hand. That way I'm always sort of locked in and safe, because that's one you don't really want to fail, because, the more times you have to repeat that obstacle, the more taxing it's going to be on your grip. So that one I actually go calm and slow for me personally.
Are you going to go calm and slow in Tough Mudder X? I mean, you've really got one shot. If you don't make it that first time, you're probably not going to win your heat.
Yeah, no, I'll still probably do that one calm and slow. Because I know that any time that I've tried to just like crush it and go really fast has been the times that I fall into the water. So
the next workout zone is the pull-ups. Do you know how many pull-ups you're going to do?
Yeah, you have to do 15.
15 pull-ups. That's not a small number.
Yeah. No, it's not.
And you're two-thirds of the way through the race right now.
Yeah. So, like, generally, if I'm just doing that as, like, a workout on a typical day, I can tip 15 pull-ups in a row. Mm-hmm. During this race, after I've done everything else, it's going to be a totally different story. I'm not really sure. I hope that I can do 15 in a row still at that point, but
sure.
I think it's just going to come down to how I feel.
The good thing is everyone else will be tired too. It won't just be you. So
yeah. For sure.
The 7th obstacle is Everest. Everest is Tough Mudder's version of the warped wall. How do you handle Everest?
That one is probably the one that I'm the most nervous about. Because anytime that I've ever done Everest, there's always been somebody at the top that would help me get over it. I could grab somebody's arm or something like that. Or, they have the grappler option where you could throw the ball up into the groove and then climb up. So I haven't had a lot of practice of just doing that one by myself. So that one's probably the one I'm the most nervous about. I'm pretty sure I can do it. I just, it's kind of a hard one to practice There isn't really a lot of Everest walls at, your standard gym. So, yeah, I don't know.
Have you heard anything about them having ropes hanging down like they do at the Tougher Mudders?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. I feel like there won't be, but
I feel like there won't be either.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna,
I guess that one just...
It's not going to be good for TV to be watching, 12 people running and hitting the, sliding back down and running and sliding back down.
Yeah, well, what I think will make it a little bit easier is because I think, most races, you have hundreds of people going through it and tracking mud and water on the wall. But I think because, there's only, 100 guys, 100 girls, and I think the only real obstacle where you're getting muddy is, the kiss of mud. And I think that there's enough obstacles in between it that when people are attempting that obstacle, will be fairly dry. So I think that at least it'll be somewhat dry is what I'm kind of praying for.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, more possible to get up.
Have they told you what time of the day you'll be running your heat?
No, I have no idea. I just know I think it's between 12 and 4 p.m.
Yeah, I doubt they'll give you an option, but I would definitely go to as early as you could if they did give you an option.
Yeah, for sure.
After Everest is the hurdles. Tell me about the hurdles.
The hurdles, I believe, are 5-foot-high walls. I'm not sure how many of them there are. I just know that there's at least a few. So that one, again, I'm just going to run, jump at it, pull myself over as quick as possible.
The next obstacle is Kong. Kong is the 5 rings that you swing across about 15 feet up in the air. How do you handle Kong?
That one for me is usually pretty good. I have good grip strength, so for that one I just get a good swing, then use my momentum and get across the rings. That one I usually don't have trouble with.
I think the secret to Kong is to use your momentum and not try and muscle your way through it.
Yeah, exactly. You go with the flow of moving with those rings.
Have you ever tried to skip rings?
I have, but never on Kong. I feel like that just wouldn't work out very well for me.
The next workout zone is the rope climb. How are you on the rope climb?
Yeah, rope climb. Yeah, rope climb's good for me. I never have a problem with rope climb. Knock on wood.
Have they told you how high you have to climb on the rope?
No, but it's weird. Apparently you're on a platform and you have to jump 6 feet to catch the rope, climb the rope, and then at the top there's another rope on an angle going down to another platform. So you sort of have to jump to the rope, climb the rope, and then traverse down another rope.
That's a little King of the Swingers hang time-ish.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you slide down those ropes?
For me, I'll just hook my leg over, and then depending on how tired my arms are, I'd probably hook my in my elbow to slide down just to sort of save my grip a little bit. But again, it'll be sort of game time decision on how I come down that, depending on the angle or if it's slippery or what.
The 9th obstacle is Leap of Faith. Can you describe Leap of Faith to me?
Leap of Faith is an awesome obstacle. It's you're on a platform that's probably at least 15 feet high, and you have to jump about 6 feet onto a cargo net, and if you miss, you kind of fall into water. But I think that they might have changed that one too.
They had Leap of Faith at World's Toughest Mudder in, I want to say, 2014.
Yeah, I think it was 2014. Or no, it was at 2013 in New Jersey.
How do you handle Leap of Faith? Is it just jumping out there? Is there any secret to it, or is it just doing it?
Yeah, you just have to just commit to the jump, because as soon as you hesitate, then you're going to miss the cargo net and you're going to fall into the water. So for me, I just literally just kind of take a couple steps back so it feels like I'm getting a running start, and then just jump as far as I can into the cargo net. And you want to sort of let your body flop, because what will happen is people will really tense up, and then that's when they hurt themselves. So if you can kind of sort of relax-ish, it makes the landing a lot better.
The next workout zone is the sandbag thrusters. Can you tell me what a thruster is?
So a thruster is, you're going to keep the sandbag about shoulder height with your arms up, like elbows up, and you're going to do a squat. And then when you come up from that squat, you're going to push that sandbag up in the air. So sort of like a squat combined with a push press.
Have they said how heavy the sandbags will be?
65 pounds for women.
What's the plan to do those thrusters as fast as possible?
Yeah, if I'm strong enough, I want to do them as fast as possible, unbroken. But again, it's going to depend, on how much the other part of the race blows me up. So we'll have to see.
The last obstacle is stage 5 clinger. Tell me about stage 5 clinger. What does that look like?
I love that one. So basically picture climbing up a wall, and then there's monkey bars. And then when you get to the end of the monkey bars, you have to be able to get up over those monkey bars. And what makes it difficult is that you don't have anything to put your feet on. So it's almost as if you have to do a muscle up. After you've climbed a ladder, you've done monkey bars, and now you have to do a muscle up to get up over those bars. If your core is strong enough, you can usually get a foot up to sort of help muscle yourself up over. I really like that one. It's a lot of fun.
What's the secret? Is there a secret to technique? How do you get that foot up?
I swing it up. So I kind of just start swinging my body and then swing my foot up. And once I get my heel locked over, then it's pretty much just moving your body, and it's a lot easier to get up after that.
The last workout zone is the Atlas lift. Tell me about the Atlas lift.
Ooh, I like the Atlas lift. So the Atlas lift is 100 pounds for females, and basically just picture like a big ball, and you have to be able to pick that up and put it onto a 4.5 foot high platform.
And then from there, it's cross the finish line.
Woo!
How have you altered your training for Tough Mudder X?
I've been focusing a lot more on doing those workout stations, because I wasn't really doing a lot of those things in my training before. I was doing all the grip training and everything, to prepare myself for those obstacles, but the actual workout stations, things like box jumps, wall balls, presses aren't things that I've normally done. So what I'm doing right now is pretty much every second day I'm doing those workout stations that will be in the race.
There are a lot of different athletes that are going to be at Tough Mudder X. How do you think the OCR athletes will fare against the CrossFitters, the Olympians, and the Ninjas?
It's going to be really interesting. I kind of have a feeling that it's leaning more towards the CrossFitter type style athlete. I think generally, the girls that are placing the top for obstacle racers are sort of like that smaller running style build with good grip strength. But I think that because the workout stations require so much strength, I think you're going to need, a girl that does WODs and CrossFit and is used to lifting a lot of heavy weight and heavyweight fast. And, their style of training is, they lift heavy weights and then they do intense workouts for 20 minutes all out, which is exactly the style of this race. Whereas, obstacle racers in general, we're doing 5K up to 24-hour races. So we're running races that are taking, an hour to 5 hours generally. So it's a different energy system. Then, your ninja type athlete, it's hard to say because I think that they'll do amazing on the obstacles, but it's going to depend on how much strength training they're doing as well. And then the Olympians, well, I have no idea.
I guess it
I have no idea how they'll do.
I know there's a rowing Olympian. I'm not sure who else they have as far as Olympians.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I guess it would depend on what their sport is and what other style of training they're doing. Because, they train so specifically for their one style of event. It's hard to say how well-rounded they would be for something like this. But then again, they're also freaks of nature, so who knows?
So what's your goal for Tough Mudder X? Are you going out there to have some fun? Are you going to try and get on the podium? You going to win the thing?
I would love to try and get on the podium. It's hard for me to say. I actually have no idea how I'll do. I feel like I'll either do extremely well or just epic fail. I don't see myself in the middle at all. It's either podium or they'll zoom in on me and I'll just be puking on the sidelines.
All or nothing, baby.
It's all or nothing.
Morgan, who are you working with these days? Are you sponsored by anyone? Is there anyone you want to plug?
Well, right now, my main one is working with Yancey and Yancey Camp. So that is, he does amazing training for me. And then what, racers can do is that they can sign up for my training online and then they get 3 of my workouts a week. So that's my main one. And then I also sponsored by Mudgear. So they make really amazing compression socks and really, really awesome shirts and other gears for racing. And then my other sponsor is Force 5 Equipment. So they make really great training tools, but affordable ones that you can sort of attach, to your playground monkey bars type thing. So you don't have to buy a whole rig system. You can just buy the little grip attachments and attach them however you want.
Did you have any referral codes, or should they just tell them that Morgan sent them?
Yeah, just Morgan sent them.
I am not sponsored by them, but I love Mudgear socks. I wear them every single race I do.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they're good stuff.
That's awesome.
I started with the knee-high ones, and then I figured out that the ankle ones were just as good, and I could get them on and off in less than 10 minutes. So now I'm using the ankle ones.
Yeah, no, I love them. Especially for the 24-hour races, I don't have to change my socks at all. I don't have to worry about my feet at all, which is great.
That is a true story. Between the Mudgear socks and I'm wearing Merrell Agility Peak Flex shoes now, it's not even a problem anymore. I always stressed out about that. Socks and shoes, socks. It's not even an issue. Now I stress out about the wetsuit or chafing or something else, but it's nice to have that resolved.
Oh, for sure. And especially your feet, everything comes down to your feet. You're on them the whole time, so it's awesome.
Morgan Mckay, any last thoughts on World's Toughest Mudder or Tough Mudder X?
I don't know. I'm just really, really, really excited. I think because Tough Mudder X is, next week, I'm just so focused and excited on that it's almost that I'm also really excited for World's Toughest Mudder. And it's just so funny because they're the 2 races that I'm most excited about this year, and they're almost complete opposites of each other, where one is complete max effort, where the other one, I guess it is max effort, but over 24-hour period of time. So it's really, really cool to see the different races that Tough Mudder has come up with.
Special thanks to Morgan Mckay for appearing in this episode. Well done, Morgan. Thank you. Don't forget to check ORM or mudrunguide.com for Tough Mudder X results this weekend. And leave us a review on iTunes. We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot, guys.